Hi guys, a little bit later than advertised. Um, we're joining me here for Fun with Maps, which is a guide to the maps of Albion and to give you guys an idea of where things are geographically in the HMS system. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to switch the camera over so that I can actually show you a map of Britannia, which contains Albion. You may notice very quickly that it resembles Great Britain. That's because that's exactly what it does. For those of you that get a little bit confused about the geography of H.M.S, all you simply need to do is look at a map of Great Britain. You're preferably going to be wanting to look at a map of around about the 700s. When there were seven Saxon kingdoms where England is today, Wales was split similarly into about 6 or 7 areas, and the same for Scotland. As you can see, the title Mystic Britannia, so we took the Roman name for Britain for the whole of the island. And there you go, you can see, look at that. Oddly, it looks almost exactly like a modern map of Great Britain. But you'll see that Scotland is named Caledonia. You'll see that England is named Albion. And you'll see that Wales is named Sorcery. Someone else could probably pronounce that a little bit better. If we'd like to just focus on Albion for a bit, what you'll see here is the kingdom, the Duchy of Essex. Below us is the Duchy of Kent, the Free City of Londinium. Then above Essex we have Anglia. Over here, dominating most of Albion, is Murcia, and then almost as large is Northumbria. Now, historically, Northumbria would have actually also encompassed this part of what we have as Caledonia, but in our system it is slightly different. Now, down here we have Wessex, which of course is led by the model Duke of Wessex, Weirdron. We have the Isle of Wights. Over here we have the Principalities of Cornwall. Now, I deliberately haven't labelled Caledonia or Cymru. I'll be doing that in a separate session. Over here though we do have the Druids Isle, which is Anglesey, and over here the Isles of Man, which are the Grey Isles. Now all of this used to be part of the Kingdom of Britannia, which was ruled over by High King Goraxe and High Queen Tia, whilst Albion here is ruled over by Queen Rosie Sparkle, and Tillery is Duchess of Essex. So you can see Essex is in Albion, Albion is in Britannia. Now, if we want to go and just have a look at the even though we're looking here now at the disputed zone, this is the no man's land that we talk about during the war with Caledonia. And as you can see, no man's land is actually quite a large area. These are the current borders of the war, and we're encompassing quite a large zone. And this is where the bandits and mercenaries are operating, and they're attacking both sides. This is also the area in which the refugees are forced to cross over, and which the forces of evil try and go northerly into Caledonia. Now, the islands up here, these islands here are owned by the Vortan, but these ones over here are the ones that recently were dominated by the vampires, which are now empty. I also like to mention that the elven island of Havengor and the goblin island of Foulness are just here off the coast of Essex. Now, our next event, most of the action is going to be taking place along this border here, with some stuff going on here as well. Now, Kent is one of the smallest kingdoms, and it shares a border with Sussex, Londinium, and Essex. And, of course, you have the River Thane here, which is the River Thames. So, Rochester and his forces are sort of based here in the Medway area. And at next event, we're going to actually be based in Tilia. Now, just to give you an idea, Duke Armalite rules Anglia, and Duke Armalite is a troll. Over here we have Murcia, which is ruled over by Lord Angus Ross. He's a former Caldron, now Essay. We know, of course, that Wessex here is ruled by Lord Weirdron. Northumbria is actually ruled over by a commander of the Vortan, and Sussex here has got its new Duke Bartholomew, who is doing his best to control the lands. He's taking the name Bartholomew because it is the name of the hereditary dukes. But of course he has a personal name as well, which some of you will get to know. The Principalities of Cornwall. Now these are encompasses traditional Cornwall and also Devon in the real world. And there are 13 principalities, all of which have now agreed to join Albion, but they cannot quite agree which one of them is the highest ranking. So we have basically loyalty here and here, loyalty from Anglia, loyalty in Essex and Londinium and Sussex, and our thorns in our sides at the moment is Kent. And of course Kent is divided. There are those who serve Lord Rochester, and then there are those who are loyal to Baron Anthony Blood, and then there are those who are loyal to the Free Count Rangers and the Wood Elves, most notably the Lightfoot clan. Also, of course, down here we have the beleaguered Baron Richter, who is under siege at the moment by Lord Azran, for obviously not toadying enough to the forces of darkness. Anglia is mostly dominated by Cull in the Coal Bridge area, and all goblins, trolls, ogres, etc. in what is Norfolk and Suffolk. Murcia is quite a few Caldron and former Bron, and generally the human races in Murcia get on quite well. They were unified under Angus Ross during the Fomorian years, and they're also, if we were to put them in D&D alignments, they're very neutral and lawful good in this country. I would suppose Anglia is more, believe it or not, lawful neutral to neutral and chaotic neutral. Northumbria is pretty much lawful neutral as far as the Vortan are concerned, and where the Vegan dominate, you see more chaotic behaviour, neutral and neutral good. Wessex is obviously exceedingly lawful. Everyone does as they're told and well behaved. Sussex is a bit of a chaotic mess at the moment. Queen Rosie Sparkle runs and controls Londinium, also as her personal area. Now, at the moment, guys, all of these kingdoms are working together, but Northumbria is taking the brunt of the fighting in the north. Murcia has been doing a lot to help them, and so has Anglia. Essex has done some. Wessex, of course, at the moment is banned from sending troops anywhere else but Wessex, even though they've got a surplus, and Sussex is finding it difficult to look after itself. Now, we know that Kent has been doing a lot of border raiding in Sussex and has been responsible for the piracy in and around the Channel and going up into the North Sea. Okay, so guys, how do we work out distance? Well, distance is exactly the same as it is in real life. So if you want to look up any of the distances for this stuff or the scale, then just look at any proper map of the United Kingdom. How do we actually work out populations? Well, okay, population is worked out by taking the modern population and taking 2 zeros off. Okay, you just take 2 zeros off. You look it up on Google or on Wikipedia, and if you take 2 zeros off, that gives you roughly its population today. With towns, a similar thing is employed. You either take 2 zeros off or 1, depending on the size of the town or village already. And that just gives you a rough idea. Now, I've kept most of the names the same, but sometimes there's variants. For instance, Cambridgeshire is Coalbridgeshire, and Cambridge is Coalbridge. Same with in Essex in Colchester, that's now Colchester, and of course Chelmsford is Helmsford. But you can pretty much get the names and the ideas, and for most people what you should be thinking is that your character originates or lives in the area that actually you live in real life. And that's how we used to work out the nobles and who was in charge of whom and who was in charge of what, basing it on your real life postcodes. And just adding a bit of reality to the fantasy. Rivers tend to be the same names. We do have an entire way of renaming things for the cauldron, and also for the elves, and I might even go into those on a later date. But just to reiterate, guys, essentially this map is the map. Now if people want copies of this, if they let me know, I'll be bringing some photocopies of it with me at the next event. I can bring some down on Monday nights, and I'll be putting some copies of this up onto the website for you guys to be able to print off at your leisure as well. There's also bigger versions, and I will be doing some sessions where I look at the individual countries. For instance, we have detailed maps of Kent and Essex. We have detailed maps of Wessex, of the Principalities of Cornwall, and of our version of Cymru or Cymru of Wales, telling you what each of these different areas and lands are dominated by. So I will be doing some individual podcasts on those. But just so you know, okay, this map is just simply taken from 3 separate maps. One is of the 600s in Wales and in Scotland, and the 700s for the majority of England. And I just played around with Cornwall because, let's face it, everyone does. Okay, guys, thank you very much for listening. Do refer back to this. Like I say, let me know if you'd like a copy of the map. I will be getting some done, and we're more than willing to give those out. And there will be more detailed ones as time goes on. Okay then, thank you all very much for listening, and I hope it's proved useful for those of you that have got to watch it and will watch it again. But just please remember that it has been pretty much taken from real historical maps, and a lot of the place names and stuff I use is historical names. They often sound a little bit better than the modern ones. Okay, and you can use that with your characters, and you can use that to name places. For instance, as you see there, I don't call Kent Kent, I call it Cant, and it has been right from the beginning. There is a IC reason for that. And so thank you very much, and I hope this has proved useful. Please do take care.